let us explore the third Dodrupchen's Dzogchen text, Advice for Ozer, and then meditate. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, brought to you by the kind folks who support this channel on Patreon, typically for $1 or $2 a month. This morning, we could chant and meditate and enjoy a lesson or two. But first, if you love Star Wars and you wish to meditate as transformatively as Obi-Wan Kenobi upon the toasty sands of Tatooine under the guidance of the disembodied Qui-Gon Jinn, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. Good news! If at any point during this morning's live stream you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation or Buddhist philosophy or how to apply them to your life, simply type that question in great detail in the chat window on the right-hand side of the screen. Now, this morning today I'm a day late and $1 short, so there's going to be a wee bit of editing. Okay, here we go. So the author's student begins with a question, or shares a question. The author refers to it. You said, I have heard from an oral tradition that by meditating while sustaining the continuity of mindfulness, at some point a form of mindfulness arises as a feature of pure awareness itself. However, the student continues, I have not investigated the matter thoroughly. So how is it? So let's see if I can squeeze that in here. That's what she said. Okay. So then the author of the text strives to answer the question. The common concentration of resting the mind has an aspect of stillness, but involves a temporary support and is therefore weak. The key here is common. So let's see where he goes with this. By contrast, the concentration, a self-abiding pure awareness is an innate property of the genuine nature. So it is not separate from the fluidity of Dharmata. And we'll explore that. Don't worry, I won't leave you in the dark much. Dharmata. as is taught in whoops, wrong button. Treasury of the Supreme Vehicle and Chariot to Omniscience. These are great titles, aren't they? But he's not done, so let's see where else he's going. This means that there is no deliberate recollection of an object of focus, what we call conditioned mindfulness. Within awareness itself. Instead, there is an effortless, naturally present mindfulness, or intrinsic uncontrived mindfulness. That is to say, clear light is maintained, and there is what we call genuine mindfulness that prevents straying into the expressions of awareness. This form of mindfulness comes about once pure awareness is made manifest through the strength of meditation. It occurs spontaneously, like the radiance that accompanies gold. Don't worry, I'll explain this. Hang in there. As long as you need to rely upon deliberately cultivated mindfulness, you have not transcended the dimension of ordinary mind. Still does this not preclude sustaining the essence of awareness through some form of conditioned mindfulness as a means of bringing about this genuine mindfulness. This point is explained in the Treasury of Pith Instructions, which states that beginners achieve non-distraction through deliberate application. All right, now let's take a gander and see what they're talking about. Let's see if we can't recapture the momentum of the intention. So this is a classic Q&A. We will begin with the question delivered by someone who's terribly enthusiastic, really isn't getting the idea of Dzogchen. You said, I have heard from an oral tradition that by meditating while sustaining the continuity of mindfulness, At some point, a form of mindfulness arises as a feature of pure awareness itself. However, I have not investigated the matter thoroughly, so how is it? So it looks like the student is still confused, not necessarily because of him, but because you've heard the phrase, too many cooks spoil the broth. Same thing here. The teachers most enthusiastic to speak out are typically the ones who are the most confused. Those are the ones who are on the path of yang, the path of patriarchy, and who are all about rigidity, literalism, fear, controlling tendencies, elitism, and competitiveness, and consequential cruelty. I've met a bunch of them. Maybe you have as well. So these guys just either hate or don't understand the idea of effortlessness. So these guys are perpetually confusing others. I recently read a translation of an excellent ancient text, and the author spent the remainder of the book contradicting the text methodically, undermining it. Why bother? Oh my goodness. So that's the kind of people that the student was being influenced, and he asked for some clarifications. And the third Dodrupchen did his best to clarify them. And he continues. The common concentration of resting the mind has an aspect of stillness. Has an aspect. What does that mean? So, mindfulness, superficially, to an outsider, might look like concentration, but it is completely different. Concentration is an act of rigidity. Mindfulness is an act of spontaneity. It is an awareness, a sensory acuity that is vulnerable, passive, visceral, and random. And yet it is calming. By contrast, the concentration of self-abiding pure awareness is an innate property of the genuine nature. Concentration is artificial. It is a derangement of our natural processes by the fear response of our underbrain. I'm looking at you, amygdala. So it is not separate from the fluidity of Dharmata, as is taught in the treasury of supreme vehicle and chariot to omniscience. So, true mindfulness is already part of our autonomic nervous system, specifically the sympathetic nervous system ensconced in the portion of the spinal cord known as the thoracic region. So that's already naturally occurring. It doesn't have to be forced. We access this sympathetic nervous system, whether we know it or not, automatically during each inhalation. Let's continue. This means there is no deliberate recollection of an objective focus. What we call conditioned mindfulness within pure awareness itself. So, there's nothing deliberate, it's spontaneous. All we're doing is saying, I choose to be vulnerable as I breathe in, I choose to relax as I breathe out. That's it. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. We have been conditioned to think that if something is difficult, it must be good. That if something is complicated, it must be good. But that's how the shysters get us. I'm reminded of an oft-quoted passage attributed to Albert Einstein. Let me know if you've heard this before. Any educated idiot can make things more complicated, more difficult, and more violent. However, it takes a lot of courage and a little bit of genius to move in the opposite direction. That's what we're being reminded right here. Move in the opposite direction. This is super easy. It works if you work it, so work it. Instead, this is effortless, naturally present mindfulness. Or intrinsic, uncontrolled mindfulness. It's not forced, it's not artificial, it's natural. That is to say, clear light is maintained, and there is what we call genuine mindfulness that prevents straying into the expressions of awareness. So let's review. In this context, when we say clear light is a very, very metaphoric, concise expression of a complicated idea. Clear means clearly perceiving, or mindfulness. Light means, clear means as we inhale, we clearly perceive something. As we exhale and we physically relax, that which we perceived during the previous inhalation can now feel as non-graspable as if it was rainbow light. So, genuine mindfulness that prevents straying into expressions of awareness. Sometimes it is totally natural to get all excited and want to start explaining what we're perceiving, or perhaps justifying, minimizing, or rationalizing what we're perceiving. But the fact that we are already wired to physically relax in harmony with each exhalation prevents that. And even if it occurs, instead of being caught up in the thrall, we merely observe it as we breathe in and then return to relaxation as we breathe out. And so we could describe it as self-taming or self-correcting. This form of mindfulness comes about once pure awareness is made manifest through the strength of meditation. It occurs spontaneously like the radiance that accompanies gold. So, remember, awareness and meditation, awareness or mindfulness takes place spontaneously during the inhalation due to the inner workings of the sympathetic nervous system. Meditation takes place spontaneously during the exhalation, where we physically relax and mentally release due to the inner workings of the parasympathetic nervous system. It doesn't have to be forced. It's already latent within every vertebrate life form on this planet. As long as you still need to rely upon deliberately cultivated mindfulness, you have not transcended the dimension of ordinary mind. So once again, if we are contrivance is a fruit of patriarchy, it's a fruit of fear, it's a fruit of rigidity. The goal is to transcend patriarchy into matriarchy, to replace rigidity with flexibility, fear with love, controlling tendencies with being laid back. Still, this does not preclude sustained awareness, sustaining the essence of awareness through some form of conditioned mindfulness as a means of bringing about genuine mindfulness. We're going to have habits of contrivance. Only a fool would think that with a snap of the fingers it would stop. But the very fact that once we recognize we're being contrived, we're being controlling, we're being rigid, we can relax and choose the path of yin, the path of centered spontaneity. This point is explained in the Treasury of Pith Instructions, which states that beginners achieve non-distraction through deliberate application. So in this case, it would be distraction from spontaneous mindfulness through the deliberate application of the meditation of relaxation and release latent within each exhalation. So in other words, the author, the third Dodruchin, is saying, this is my answer, and oh yeah, by the way, I'm not pulling this out of thin air. That which I'm teaching you can be found in these, I guess, 3 or 4 texts that I just cited. So there is a subsect of lamas in Tibetan Buddhism who are forever quoting other authors as a form of credibility or communicating credibility. So this is not unique in the genre. Well, I think that was very exciting. Now let's turn to this morning's practice, which is also a work in progress. So the first thing I'm going to do is officially tap button 9. Copy. This will take a minute. Bear with me. I look forward to picking up some momentum. Oh, that's an error. Okay. Okay, so this first recitation, translated from the writings of the late Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche, helps us to cultivate love and letting go. Oh, in order for ultimate sentient beings to obtain the state of a fully enlightened Buddha, I promise to abandon all misdeeds, accumulate merit, and always cultivate bodhicitta. Oh, in order for all mother sentient beings to obtain the state of a fully enlightened Buddha, I promise to abandon all misdeeds, Accumulate merit and always cultivate bodhicitta. Oh, for others' sake. Whoa, don't I feel like a silly goose? Okay. Let's see if I can squeeze that in there. That's what he said. Okay. Oh, in order for all mothers and sentient beings who obtain the state of a holy and enlightened Buddha, I promise to abandon all misdeeds, accumulate merit, and always cultivate bodhicitta for others' sake. Now you might say, that's a lofty promise. How am I going to fulfill that? So by the way, this is a reference to training in the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth folds of the Eightfold Path. And the answer is, we're going to do this. Whoops, wrong button. Let's try this again. 1, 2, 3. Copy. 1, 2, 3. Paste. By practicing refuge. All right, so we are going to change the font and change the size, adjust the layout. And this line spacing. So we're using the word yidam, which could be translated as archetype of enlightenment, whose iconography supports our use of figures of speech. So having as set our motivation, we now practice the means of fulfilling our lofty intentions. Namo, precious Guru, the Lord of all families, divine yidam, the source of all cities, Dakini, the dispeller of all obstacles, in the three roots I take refuge. Namo, precious Guru, the Lord of all families, divine yidam, the source of all cities. Cities means attainments. Dakini, the dispeller of all obstacles, in the three roots I take refuge. So there are two different ways of looking at Dakini. Literally, a Dakini would be one's tantric partner, someone with whom one engages in tantric sex, regardless of gender. There's no room for homophobia. However, metaphorically, it can be referred to any entity or circumstance that removes obstacles. These three roots are Lama, Yadam, and Dakini. So this is in different languages, so Guru or Yadam, Deva or Devi or Yadam, Khandro or Dakini. So I think to make things less confusing, I'll put it all in Tibetan. And as always, there are alternative pronunciations of Tibetan words based on province, and consequently there are alternative transliterations of Tibetan, which is a reminder not to get hung up in perfectionism. Namo Lama, the Lord of all families, divine Yadam, the source of all cities. Khandra, the dispeller of all obstacles. In the three roots I take refuge. So this is a painstaking process, and I think I'm going to move on to a quicker, though sloppier process. So I'm going to hit button 8. Well, that's weird. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this button. That should synchronize the application. And now go to this tab and verify whether it's transmitting. It is. Excellent. Okay. Well, if that's the case, I'm going to make it a bit larger, and you let me know if it's illegible or not. Control. Pause. Okay. So before we go to the main part, there's something that is inferred. So I'm going to explore it right now. And to do that, I'm going to tap button 9 and open up a different text. Or at least try to. Come on, machine, don't fight me. Where is it? Is it over? Oh, there it is. Right here. Okay. Devon Mind's Easy Tantra. So let's go back over here and look for this bad boy. Okay. Control G7, go to, now I get to align the text again. Okay. What could it look like if all circumstances or lost blissfully and permanently melted into rainbow light that interdependently absorbed into this form? So during the inhalation, During the inhalation, we silently and mentally recite the first half of the rhetorical question into form. The second half during the exhalation, we silently and mentally recite the second half of the rhetorical question, how lots melt. Quick inhalation, slower exhalation. What could it feel like if all forms or bodies blissfully and impermanently melted into rainbow light that interdependently absorbed into this speech? What could it sound like if all interpersonal speech blissfully and impermanently melted into rainbow light that interdependently absorbed into this mind? What could it be like if all minds blissfully and impermanently melted into rainbow light that interdependently absorbed into our vast empty void? I'm now going to open up an additional text because sometimes that's how I roll. I'm going to Easy Tantra, and I'm going to Secular Tantra. And I'm going to hit button 9. Now we're going to simply rest the mind. Whoops, wrong button. Let's try that again. Consider, if you will, the photograph of a wooden statue of the Buddha. And let's do our best to emulate him physically. The legs are simply collected across. They are not folded into the Vajra or lotus position. The hands rest comfortably in the lap, which helps the energy to coalesce in the lower belly. There seems to be a attraction between the head and the tush. Let's see if we can replicate that. As we breathe in, we practice effortless mindfulness, effortless noticing, as silently and mentally we recite the demonstrative pronoun this. During each exhalation, we meditate by silently and mentally reciting the hyphenated verb relaxing as silently and mentally we relax and release. If you've just tuned in, welcome to the live stream. Good news. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation or Buddhist philosophy or how to apply them, type that question in great detail in the chat window. As we breathe in, we're silently and mentally reciting this, giving ourselves permission to notice whatever comes up. As we exhale, we're silently and mentally reciting relaxing, giving ourselves permission to physically relax and mentally release. All vajras of a gray space, unattainable through grasping like the moon and water. As the emanation of Samantha Bhadra, you are the main deity, the union of wisdom and method. A heroic being white in color, holding Vajra and Bell, embracing the consort of innate luminosity, the union of bliss and emptiness, and adorned with the conjunct ornaments. From the state of unfabricated nature, the peaceful deities appear at the main deity's heart, and wrathful deities appear vividly at his crown. At his heart upon disk of sun and moon is a suitable whom surrounded by a garland of mantra, from which lies radiate, then return, performing the two kinds of benefit, and pacifying transgressions and obscurations of awareness into space. The entire outer and inner world arises as deity, mantra, and wisdom. The entire outer and world arises as deity, mantra, and wisdom of the countless peaceful and wrathful deities. Now it's time for a bit of the old mantra meditation. And to do that, we're going to tap button 9 again and switch texts. Okay, here we go. Mantra's meaning. Om I invoke the Benza diamond like strength of a subtle mind well trained in love and letting go, supplicating with all my love and letting go be mastered by all. So I'm going to change this into a Sanskrit pronunciation. Bear with me. Om I invoke the Vajra diamond like strength of a sattva mind well trained in love and letting go, supplicating with all may love and letting go be mastered by all. As we chant the mantra, I could feel as if diamond rays were emitting from a thumbnail-sized horizontal six-syllable mantra rosary at our hearts. Lavishing on mass communication, bodies and circumstances, with good fortune, health, love, and wisdom centered and spontaneous. So, let's see. May mind. So the real trick to mantra meditation is this. As we breathe in, so as we exhale and chant the mantra, we physically relax as best we can. As we inhale, we silently and mentally recite a loving intention. Now, this is pretty cryptic. Fortunately, it is fleshed out right here. May all minds of all beings know be as peaceful and wise as a Buddha's mind, symbolized by a one-syllable mantra known as a Sitigle or Bija mantra. Vajrasattva 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 Vajrasattva. May all relationships of all beings be as joyful and loving as a Buddha's communication. Symbolized by the six-syllable mantra. Vajrasattva 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 Vajrasattva. May all bodies of all beings know which are the beautiful, health depicted in Buddhist thought, of the blissful body of a yidam of lore and archetype of enlightenment. Vajrasattva 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 Vajrasattva. May all circumstances of all beings be as safe and fortunate as a Buddha's real or imagined paradise, pure land of Avanti. Vajrasattva 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 Om 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 Vajrasattva. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever we notice during all previous inhalation could feel as non-graspable as a vastum devoid, like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a beautiful cloudless morn, which, although compelling to the eye, is not graspable to the hand. How is it that as we inhale, our circumstances could appear quite vivid, yet as we relax, our exhalation could feel as not graspable? Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as not graspable as a vati of light. Om Vajrasattva 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 Om Vajrasattva. How is it that as we inhale, our bodies could feel quite sensual, yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as non-graspable as an octuple radium of light? Om Vajrasattva 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 How is it that as we inhale the interpersonal experience of communication could be quite resounding, yet as we relax into our exhalation it could feel as non-graspable as a mantra of light? Om Vajrasattva 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 Om Vajrasattva. How is it that as we inhale we could perceive our mind's functions quite clearly, yet as we relax into our exhalation they could feel as not graspable? Yet as we relax into our exhalation they could feel as non-graspable as a eternal law of light. Om Vajrasattva 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 Om Vajrasattva. Okay. Now we return to the online practice text, which has gone kerflooey. Oh, how charming. Let's see. Fabulous. We now, for just a few moments, recite the general mantra of the heart's peaceful deities. Om Bodhicitta Mahasukha Jana Datuva. 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 Om Bodhicitta Mahasukha Jana Dhatuva. 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 Om Bodhisikha Jana Dhatuva. Om Bodhicitta Mahasukha 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 Jana Dhatuva. All right. And now we're going to use the final mantra to invoke the real or imagined wrathful deities at the crown. Om Rururu Hum Byohum. 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 Hum, hum, hum. What could it look like if all circumstances are lost blissfully and impermanently melted into rainbow light that interdependently absorbed into this form? What could it feel like if all forms of bodies blissfully and impermanently melted into rainbow light that interdependently absorbed into this speech? What could it sound like if all interpersonal speech was fully and impermanently melted into rainbow light that interdependently absorbed into this mind? What could it be like if all minds blissfully and impermanently melted into rainbow light that interdependently absorbed into a vast empty void? As we breathe in, silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. As we exhale, and physically relax, silently and mentally recite the metaphor emptiness. Well, I hope that worked out okay. It looked like it might have been a technical snafu, and if that was the case, I apologize. I absolutely meant no disrespect. Pay, 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 pay. Oops, wrong button. Let's scroll down. Through this merit may I swiftly accomplish the state of Vajrasattva. And may I establish every sentient being without exception in the perfect state as well. May all monsters, forms, and lots be as wise, living, healthy, and fortunate as diamond minds real or imagined, suitable mantra, archetype, and paradise. May all beings like diamond mind master the eightfold path as well as liberate all others. May all beings practice self-kind communication, conduct, and calmness flow spontaneous and uncontrived. At the very end of each being's life, may we take immediate and auspicious rebirth, master the Buddha's path, and then help all others do likewise. May everyone be free from suffering, may everyone be happy. May no one be separated from the happiness. May everyone have balance from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging freed. If you feel that I have earned it, you could type something in the chat window, you could give this live stream a thumbs up, you could share it with a friend, or you could support this channel on Patreon for just $1 or $2 a month. Or not. The choice is yours. Either way, in approximately 2¼ hours, I very much intend to return to lead today's mid-morning meditation. Until then, may you and yours be happy and healthy. And if you are as geeky as me, this is the way.